Dorian Electra Fanfare album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest album from Dorian Electra, singer, songwriter out of Houston, a mainstay in the weirder side of pop at the moment, even though Dorian's discography is pretty short if you look at it. They have made up for it with an abundance of really great features, and oh yeah, Dorian has more personality in her pinky finger than most artists do over multiple albums. 2019's flamboyant Dorian's debut. I mean, I freaking loved this thing. This thing had awesome singles like Daddy Like and Career Boy, and while not perfect by any means, I was instantly addicted to Dorian's sound. And less than a year later, Dorian put out 2020's My Agenda, which ended up being one of my favorite albums of the year. Once again, this album was short. It was sweet. It was quirky, it was wild-eyed as well, and it also just had a slew of really great features, whether it be hyperpop mainstays like Pussy Riot or Rebecca Black, or The Village People. Now, it's been a few years, and I was really hyped to hear this new album and see where Dorian is at, mostly because I thought almost all the singles dropped from this thing were pretty fantastic. Let's chat about this. This album starts off with Symphony, and all around, this is a hell of an intro. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The first half of this album is incredibly solid. From the chugging riff to the larger-than-life epic feel to it, this is a great intro. This has so much swagger to it. Dorian sounds totally confident with this sound. The horns in the background are a nice touch too. It's extravagant. It's very sexual. This is exactly what I look for from an intro in Dorian's music, and it gets me hyped to listen to the rest of this album. Idolize, I initially was not really vibing with this track, but I have come around to it. Between the raw power chords in this instrumental and just the amount of swagger on display and confidence, I can't say no to this. Not only that, I will say this, while lyrically this is far from my favorite track on the album, this chorus is insanely memorable. For now, all is well in the world of Dorian Electra. I love this track. I wouldn't mind plopping it on a few workout playlists. Now, with Freak Mode, we start getting into some hotter, steamier jams. I mean, we knew this was going to be a very kinky affair going into it. I love how upbeat and hectic this track, all the while Dorian just spewing sexuality in every direction. I love Dorian's performance here, as well as the different genres that they're grabbing from. It's so over the top too. Good luck not singing this all day. With Sodom and Gomorrah, I mean, things just get kinkier by the second here. I mean, Dorian's music since day one has been a very sexual affair. But this just seems extra for Dorian standards, and I am so for it because Dorian just sounds so confident. Sassy too, bringing some crashing instrumentals and some great production. You've got a banger. And every time I feel like this album can't get any kinkier, a track like Puppet comes along. Wow. This is even more over the top, but that's kind of par for the course, and I'm okay with that because this track rules. For an explosion of lust, sexuality, and more, look no further. Dorian sounds just so incredibly confident here. And I love the duality between the incredibly classy, elegant instrumental and just this chorus, which, wow. I really love Manmade horrors too. Between the determined riff, the volume of everything here, and Dorian, who just sounds more and more off the rails with each passing moment. It's great. It's thrilling. It's well done. It almost reminds me of like what Poppy is doing these days. And not for nothing, I think Anon may be the best track here. I love the sonic sense of this track and just the sense of urgency. Dorian here sounds awesome, and pound for pound, I think this may be the most instantaneous track of the bunch. It's not like Dorian is slowing down with creativity and things to say. That's not the issue with this album. My issue with this album is the sharp decline that we get in the second half. It's one of the biggest declines I've seen in any album all year. Like with Yes Man, for example. This track takes a sharp turn for the much more uninteresting. And I don't have an issue with Dorian going for a much longer tune. This track is 5 minutes, and that's a lot. But my issue is Dorian doesn't seem up to the task of pulling it off. I mean, this is easily the most repetitive and annoying track of the bunch. Dare I say boring, and that's something that I've never said with Dorian's music. Even the beat on this track just gets so bland by the end of it, borderline obnoxious. We get tracks like Phonies. Why does this sound so bad? Production-wise, instrumental-wise, this just doesn't sound good or complete. And I've never said this with Dorian's music. ever. And even Dorian's lyrics on this track just seems like they're trying too hard. And that's all not even touching on this chorus, which is the most asinine thing here. Touch Grass continues with this album's downfall. These tracks don't have a leg to stand on. They start bad and just get worse. The instrumental here, the production, this is amateur hour. I mean, Dorian's been in the hyperpop scene for a couple of years now, and this is a scene that is just all about excess on all levels, instrumental wise, production wise. It's all about excess. And then I hear this, and it's just so ugly. And with that, Dorian sounds a million times less confident. It's not good. And with Lifetime, I feel like we're lost. I feel like we're lost here, friends, and that's something that I never want to say. I mean, we have gone from kinky and creative and confident to just jarring. This chorus is so unbelievably annoying, and just, I don't know what's happened to this album. And Warning Signs shows Dorian going for a more personal, emotional ballad, which I think has, a lot of merit to it. I love the idea of that. And that's fine and dandy, but it just does not work on this track. This sounds like a cover song that Dorian is really trying to make their own. It's okay at best, but with how bad this second half of this album has gotten, I'm just shocked that this is here. Now, Wanna Be a Star, though, as a finale for a much more emotional piece of music from Dorian, this is the ticket, and it actually does end this album off on a really great note. It's got the pop and circumstance. It's got the regality. This feels like a happening. But it's also still colorful and dripping with personality. It has a message. This is the finale that I wanted. And I don't know what happened with this album. I mean, it started off so good with Dorian doing what they do best and just showing up with sheer confidence and swagger that I really needed to hear. But the second half of this album, it's unforgivable what happens. The choruses fall apart. The instrumentals get annoying. The production becomes jarring. And the personality of this album goes out the window very, very fast. It's a tough one for me just because of how good the first half was, but I cannot excuse just how much the second half falls off. I'm feeling a light 6 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.